Jai Hind guys, I'm Kalpesh here. Today I came up here with a new topic, sex education, and I think it is very important for all the group discussion topics which are there in SSB, and it has been asked many times in many SSB centers. So I think it is very important, and our society, the society in which we live, that society think that talking about sex is a sign, pap, which is not. If you give a good sex education to each and every children, the rape cases and the many things will be in control. So I'm talking about sex education, and just listen it and gain it. Okay. What is sex education? Sex is a natural part of life, and it's the only factor which keeps life moving from one generation to the next. Okay, there are many exegesis about sex, and sex education is the birth of humankind. Generally, sex education is defined as a wide program to ensure the knowledge about sexual health, anatomy, activity, reproduction, the age of consent, reproductive health and rights, contraceptive measures, relationship, individuality, and so on throughout a person's life. It is as important as other discipline of study. Unfortunately, many countries refuse to include mandatory sex education as part of their children's curriculum because discussing sex in public is a sign in the society. Interestingly, sex education is optional in most of the countries except Japan, where sex education is mandatory from age 10 to 11. And it is a very good initiative which has been taken from Japan, and we should learn from Japan history and importance of sex education. You will listen this, you will really feel like, yeah, it is very important in our society. In the late 19th century, the progressive education movement paved the path for social hygiene to be included in the curriculum of North American school. At that time, knowledge about sex is mostly gained formally through school based sex education, but during the 20th century, children started gaining knowledge from friends and the media informally. Okay, which is not good. But this informal gain of knowledge was incomplete and increased the rate of teenage pregnancies in Western countries, mainly after the 1960s. As a part of this, sex education was introduced without carrying intense opposition from parents and society. The outbreak of acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, which we call it as AIDS, caused by human immunodeficiency virus, which we call it as HIV, was another reason for the immediate implementation of sex education in school. African countries like Swaziland, Bosnia, etc. leads the list of highest rates of AIDS infection. Most of the global organization, okay, consider sex education as a vital part of public health by highlighting some important factor like understanding the health and unhealthy relationship. Respect to opposite sex is also important and is also being taught in sex education. you know Sex education in India past and present condition. India is a very religious country. Hinduism and Buddhism are two major religions which express their attitude towards sex to the world. India's sexual thought came from the ancient time itself, and the ancient Hindu book Kama Sutra, written by Vatsyayana, is considered to be the standard work on human sexual behavior. India's knowledge about sex is not only confined to a book, but it is sculpted beautifully on the walls of famous temple like Khajuraho, which is there in Madhya Pradesh, Sun Temple in Konark, Jagdish Mandir in Udaipur, Ellora Caves in Maharashtra, which is very famous, and a lot more. Their sculptures are not just carving, but it was the ancient way of open sex education. India is one of the countries with reports of high rates of teenage pregnancies, sexual abuse, and huge number of HIV infected people. But still, sex education in school is considered as an unprincipled act by the society here. Surprisingly, there are many adolescent girls in India who don't know what is menstruation in real. Most of them are from a rural background and believes that it is a curse of God. You think what they believe, okay, or a disease. This fallacy is stuck in their head because there is no one to teach them what it actually is, not even their parents. Okay, so there is an immense need to give the right information about their anatomy and social relationship before giving sex education, because it is only physical but also mental, psychological, and social, you know cleanness. And we should always spread this awareness, sex education awareness. And the improvements in my every video, I think when I'm talking about GD topics, I give my improvements point, okay, which is playing a very good role when you study it or when you gain it. Okay, improvements or steps taken to promote sex education in India: counseling parents and children about the need for sex education from school. This is first one. Adding sex education as a mandatory part of curriculum, training parents to be approachable and dependable, creating opportunities to ask questions without fear or embarrassment to the mentor, using an app which allows children to clear their curiosity in a good and understanding manner, like the Sarthia app. Okay, introduced by government of India, which has been introduced. Many of you might be don't know that this app is been introduced. Okay, this is very good for you all who all are watching this video. Okay, as the number of rapes and child abuse rate increased in the country, the society itself came forward to flush out the superstitions and promote sex education to children. The government of India, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, inaugurated school health program, okay, at Bijapur, Chhattisgarh, under Ayushman Bharat, a national health protection scheme to make sex education mandatory. This is a good step benefiting 26 crore children in the country, hoping for a better and bright future as a socially responsible human being. And I think sex education is very important in our country itself, because the newspapers and the newspaper, I think the Hindu, the Indian Express, these are the newspaper who all are covering. But newspaper is the thing which is covering most of the good topics. Okay, the rape cases in every day in India, the rapes are increasing day by day. When you see the news, local news, they are just saying ki one rape has been arrested, this has been done, that has been done, but you're not taking action. That's why every rapist is doing rape each and every day, and they are not getting a proper sex education. That's why they are doing all these things. If they will get a proper sex education, if they have a respect to opposite gender, they will never do this. Okay, so my views on this topic is, we should, without any embarrassment, without any shy, we should spread this sex education to each and every society. And we should talk in our friends that we should never make a joke friends apart. We should always promote these good things in our society, in our circles, whichever circle we are in. Okay, because this is important and this will make our India go ahead and make our India developed. Okay, so these are very important. Thank you.